But first, the fallout of the Juukan Gorge destruction continues, with Rio Tinto shareholders delivering a first strike against the mining giant at this week's annual general meeting here in Perth. It was the first time shareholders were able to send a message on the blast at the 46,000-year-old caves in the Pilbara last year, and the hefty paycheck former Chief Executive JS Jaques left with the company with. In his first television interview since taking on the role, new CEO Jakob Stausholm told me he's spent the past 4 months in Australia working to repair Rio's standing in the community. Jakob Stausholm, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Jakob, shareholders clearly are dissatisfied with Rio Tinto's actions at the Juukan Gorge caves. You've apologised, but of course it doesn't all come down to just words, does it?
No, it's not. It's not, but that's the first thing you can do. And then there's a lot of work ahead of us. I think we are progressing. What gives me energy is that I really feel that people in the organization wants to see this progressing. And quite frankly, I feel that the PKKP has been extremely gracious towards us in terms of wanted to meet, wanted to engage, and wants to find solutions for the future. So I'm hopeful.
How much are you consulting with the PKK people about the restoration work you're doing?
Everything goes together. It's a bit the concept. The name comes from PKKP themselves. Co-management of the land. We just have to do everything in lockstep together as a partner.
Shareholders have voiced their concerns that the remuneration policy that saw your predecessor walk away with a fairly hefty paycheck at the end of his term. You've of course adopted new requirements for ECG being 15% of those short-term bonuses. Is there any room for that to increase?
Look, I can influence many things as CEO, but not my own salary nor my predecessor's salary. But look, on ESG, you have heard my 4 priorities. Best operator, impeccable ESG credentials, excellent development, and our social license. Those are the 4 things we need to progress on, and therefore success means performing well in ESG. It's up to the board to set the remuneration policy, but I'm happy to see that for the first time we actually have a sizable part of our short-term bonus linked to ESG.
Is it up to corporates or governments to determine how we as a globe reach net zero carbon emissions?
We are one of the companies that actually can make a big difference, your own Prime Minister talked about that it is industry that has to take a significant part of the work to make it happen, and I agree with that. It's actually why it's attractive to work in a company like Rio Tinto. We can make a big difference, and we are making a big difference. We are, for example, having 2/3 of our energy stemming from renewable sources, whereas the world only have around 1/4. So we are progressed well on the journey, but we can never stand still, and there's so much more to do. In the past, we've talked a lot about our own footprint, and now we are increasing this, both setting targets for and engaging around our indirect footprint, the so-called Scope 3. It's a massive journey ahead of us.
Does a slowdown in demand from China concern you at all?
Well, of course, I should be concerned about that, but it looks, in the short term, the Chinese economy looks healthy.
You've spent the past 4 months or so travelling around Australia, meeting all kinds of people all over the country in an effort to repair Rio Tinto's reputation. Do you think you've achieved that?
That's certainly for others to judge, but I would say one thing. I have met people who has been angry. I have met people who has been less angry. But I've still not met a person who doesn't want to see Rio Tinto succeed. And that gives me hope and gives me energy.
Jakob Stausholm, thanks for speaking to the program.
Thank you.